another banger video today. We're watching something as a throwback. We got this banger ass movie I used to love as a kid, Sky High. I don't know if you guys ever watched this movie. If you did, give me a comment down below. Tell me if you guys watched it. But we're gonna go right into it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna edit all this out. I'm gonna edit this shit out, man. Are we? What up? I'm not sponsored, but you know I got permission to film. It's only right, man. It's only right.
Legendary, nostalgic OG movie, Sky High. I
This
hadn't
shit was
watched
kind
this
of
bad boy
corny.
in
I
like a
ain't gonna lie
decade.
back then, but this shit as a kid, this shit was like the best movie
So I
ever.
decided to give her a watch, and obviously it was goated, and also obviously I had to make a video on it. This is Will Stronghold. He's the son of the two greatest superheroes on Earth. His father, the Commander, has near invulnerability and super strength, and his mother, Jetstream, can fly at supersonic speed and is an expert in all forms of martial arts. So you think Will's probably pretty cracked. He's probably going to be one of the best superheroes on Earth. He's a loser. He has no powers. Broski can't even unwrap 135 off the bench. Pretty embarrassing when your parents are legends, which is why he hasn't told him he has no powers. Yeah, your boy here, he's a fraud. While our boy struggles to bench 135, his dad starts calling for him because he's going to be late for his first day of Sky High, which is a high school for superheroes. Will stacks on the weight to look like he's pumping some big boy iron, and his dad comes up and talks to Will and makes the situation a lot worse by telling Will how he's so happy that if one day he gets packed up in a fight, he can rest easy knowing that Will can take over in his place to protect the planet.
Whatever happens to me, we'll still be around to save the world.
Little does he know, Will's best friend Layla then comes over, and Will's parents get a call about some shenanigans going on, so they head out to save the day. They roll up on the scene and see this big-ass robot terrorizing the city. The Jetstream launches the Commander at it, and Broski takes it down with one punch. He then takes the robot head as a souvenir, and you need to remember that because it's actually important to the plot. Layla and Will get picked up by the bus, and we meet the GOAT himself, Ron Wilson. Ron stops Will and is like, yo, what the f*** your name?
He's like,
Will Stronghold?
Stronghold?
Ron
He's
gets a little
Stronghold?
teed up after finding this out.
He told
and
everybody.
I just thought it was kind of funny. Anyways, Will and Layla head to the back of the bus, and we meet one of my favorite characters in this movie, Zach. Zach tells Will that he just got his powers like dead ass 3 days ago, and apparently his power's pretty legit, top tier stuff.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Will's like, okay, what is it? Zach tells him he'll have to wait and find out, just like everyone else. It must be a pretty cool power. Ron hits this closed off road, and he jumps it like he's in a Fast and Furious movie, and just like something out of a Fast and Furious movie, the bus turns into a plane and takes off. They then pull up to Sky High, which is a massive school that floats.
Wait, it stole this shit from Magic School Bus, bro. Y'all niggas not slick, man.
To some anti-gravity thing. They land that bird, and before Will heads in, Ron gives Will his card and lets him know that if he ever needs him for anything, he's right there. Just give him a call. As they're walking to the school, one of these kids laser this chick in the cheeks, and she turns around and freezes them over, which is insane. We just witnessed two students get packed up on the first day.
Nah, bro.
As the group walks to the school, they get rounded
laughing?
up by a bozo who's wearing some very long shorts. He's swagged out with them, though. I'm not going to sit here and lie. The stretchy dude's name is Lash, and the speedster's name is Speed. Very original. They're basically the bullies of Sky High. But they get shooed away by Gwen Grayson, the student body president, and as she goes over the rules, our boy Will only has one thing on his mind.
It's the first day. How they got senior body presidents in the first day of school, bro? There's not no election, nigga? What is it? A fucking treat? What is it called? Fuck, I forgot.
I love you, bitch. I ain't gonna never stop loving you.
They head into the gym where they're greeted by Principal Powers, who welcomes them to Sky High. She dips out, and then we're greeted by Coach Boomer, who tells the class about the power placement. Basically what that is everyone will get called up to show their powers in front of everyone, and if they suck, they're a sidekick, and will be placed with the other sidekicks. And if they're legit, they'll be classified as a hero, and will be assigned with the other heroes. They go through quite a few students. Some have really cool powers, some don't. They also include my boy Zach. He gets on stage, and he doesn't do much of anything.
Any day
This
now,
shit look crazy on my
tells Coach Boomer to chill out and maybe cut the lights because his power is that he glows.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah,
Oh,
he gets put with the sidekicks.
You're a glow boy.
This kid turns into goo, sidekick. There's a shapeshifter, which is pretty cool, and there's actually another shapeshifter as well, but she only turns into a guinea pig. So
What the
she's a
fuck?
sidekick.
Nah, I
When it's
knew
Layla's
this
turn, she's like, nah,
I
I
forgot
only
she
use
was a
my
guinea
powers
pig,
when the
though.
situation demands it, and
Damn,
so
these
she's labeled
powers
as a
are
sidekick as
trash.
well. All of these sidekicks are our main characters. They take a little lunch break, and while at lunch, Will gets stared down by this guy named Warren Peace. Apparently, Will's dad locked up this guy's dad, so he doesn't like Will. Anyways, we get back to the gym, and it's Will's turn. He tells Boomer he doesn't have any powers, but Boomer knows his pops and doesn't believe him, so he drops a car on him. Will's like, dude, I have no powers, so he's put with the other sidekicks. He gets checked out by the doc and asks if he'll ever get his powers, and the doc tells him that he probably will, but it is possible that even with two superpowered parents like he has, he could end up getting no powers. Believe it or not, this is the case for my boy Ron Wilson. Don't worry, he's still the GOAT. Will comes home and tells his dad they need to talk, but his dad cuts him off and tells him he knows just the place.
Dad, we need to talk. I think I know just the place.
He shows him the entrance to the secret sanctum, which is basically just a dope-ass superhero lair. But he tells Will there's one rule. Do not bring anyone into the secret sanctum. No Latinos, no snow bunnies, no goth girls, and no redheads. The secret sanctum is a place of secrecy, not a place to slam ham. They head into the secret sanctum and have a look around. And Will's dad shows him his proudest trophy, Royal Pain's pacifier. He tells Will how they packed up Royal Pain and he took the pacifier as a souvenir. And he doesn't even know what it does. He then shows Will his display and tells him how happy he is that they'll all be fighting crime together, side by side. Yeah, so he ends up not telling his dad he has no powers. But as this happens, we get a scene that shows us that someone is watching them through the robot head that the commander took. While Will sits on his roof reflecting on his life, Layla rolls up using her powers even though she only uses them for serious situations.
I believe in only using my powers when the situation demands it.
And they just kind of talk about life and how Will will never be able to live up to his parents' expectations. The next day at school, we meet Mr. Boy, who teaches the hero support class for sidekicks. He kind of talks about the class, and he makes being a sidekick sound like the worst thing ever. If you're a sidekick, you're pretty much a loser. And while he's yapping, a massive explosion rocks the school, and we see that my boy Zach does indeed glow.
Oh, look, he does glow.
Pretty useless power, but, you know, Zach's cool. We also meet the big-headed science teacher, who was the one who accidentally caused the explosion. We then get a little montage of the class training to be the best JV heroes that they can be, and we also see that the dudes who were frozen earlier are still frozen. Yeah, they're dead. Later that night, Will and his friends are at home studying when the commander rolls up and meets everyone and learns their powers. And, yeah, he definitely thinks they're all losers.
Great.
While the commander makes himself a delicious sandwich, Will comes in and tells him that his friends are all sidekicks. And actually, he's a sidekick too. And Steve is not happy.
Washed out!
He thinks Coach Boomer was just peanut butter and jealous, and that's why he assigned Will with the sidekicks, but Will finally confesses that he has no powers.
It's me, okay? I don't have any powers.
He tells his dad that he's fine with having no powers, and he's actually happy to be a sidekick. Later that night, Steve talks with his wife Josie about Will not having powers, and good lord, Josie can get it.
I do it.
The next day at lunch, while walking to a seat, Flash trips Will, and his tray hits Warren Peace. Warren gets up in his face, and a fight breaks out. He starts launching fireballs at Will's face, but luckily Will blocks one and dodges the rest. Will sees a fire alarm, so he starts hauling ass to it, but again gets tripped out by Lash, so he crawls under the lunch table, but Warren continues to try and smoke him. He keeps throwing them at the side of the table while on top instead of just hopping down and hitting him from the side, but whatever. Warren stops and is like, "Where's your dweeby little friends?" And they come out ready for war. Maybe not. Will isn't about to let his friends get the Freddy Krueger treatment though, so he picks up the table and sends Warren flying into the wall. Kind of reminds me when Peter did the same shit to Harry in Spider-Man 3. Goated movie. I don't care what people say. Warren's not out of the fight yet though, and as he gets up, Will hits this weak-ass pose before they continue scrapping. Like, what is this shit? We then cut to Warren getting absolutely launched through a wall while the science dude and Coach Boomer are setting up a two-man. No, this isn't a joke. They were actually doing this. Warren flames up and charges at Will, but Layla throws him a fire extinguisher and he pops the top off to put Warren down right as the principal rolls up. After detention, Will heads home and accidentally put Warren down right as the principal rolls up.
I'm not even being...
After detention, Will heads home and accidentally breaks the door on his way in. and is greeted by his parents who are not happy that bro is scrapping at school. His dad brings him down to the sanctum for a stern talk, but his dad doesn't actually care. He's just hyped that his son has super strength and gives him a new Xbox. But the moment's ruined when we see that they're still being watched up.
This is definitely my favorite part of the movie, bro.
The next day at school, Will is told he's been moved to the hero classes, so he heads over and gets paired up with Gwen, and we find out that she's actually really smart and a technopath. And again, someone is packed up in broad daylight. This movie's insane.
You know, I can totally help you out with all this science stuff.
He's in there. Later that day, Will sits with Gwen's table, and when his friends come to sit, this chick who can duplicate takes up all the seats and tells them that there's no room. So after lunch, Will finds Layla and tells her he's sorry about what happened at lunch, and to make it up to her, he asks if they can go out to a restaurant called the Paper Lantern, and Layla agrees. Will also finds the bullies stuffing Ethan into a locker, so he breaks that up, and he also finds Zach stuffed in one too.
I'm so tough when my boys around, are you?
And once they get out, Ethan and Zach tell Lash and Speed that Will's ready to run the fade at any point in time. But instead of scrapping, they make an agreement that during the Save the Citizen, if Will wins, they have to stop bullying them, and if Will loses, they can bully them as much as they want. Bit of a strange deal, but alright. We then cut to the game of Save the Citizen. Lash and Speed pick who they want to face, and they pick Will and Warren. Now, the rules are as follows. There's two teams, heroes and villains. The heroes have 3 minutes to stop the villains and save the citizen from getting lowered into the saw trap. Pretty simple. Speed zips around and knocks both Will and Warren down. Then Lash tries grabbing Warren, but gets his arms burned. Will tries to get to the citizen, but he keeps getting whacked by Speed, and while this happens, Warren is throwing fireballs to try and smoke Lash, but ends up hitting the coach instead. They're not looking too good. Will finally decides to dial in, and he punches the ground, which sends Speed and Lash flying. He's able to tie Lash around a pole, but Speed comes back and starts circling Warren, which makes it to where he can't breathe. But there's only like 20 seconds left before the doll hits the trap, so Will has to make a choice between saving Warren or saving the citizen, but he chooses option 3. He runs over, grabs Speed, sends him into the pole. He then grabs Warren and throws him at the citizen in time to save the day.
That nigga locked in moment.
I should mention, Lash and Speed were like undefeated in this game, so it's kind of a big deal that Will and Warren beat them. Also, I can't believe another student was about to get packed up in the school.
No,
Later
bro,
that night, Will comes home to find Gwen at his crib. Apparently, they were going to work on some science stuff tomorrow, but things came up, so she pulled up today. And Will's cool with it, for obvious reasons. They also invite her to stay for dinner, which she accepts. Unfortunately, Will was supposed to meet Layla at the Paper Lantern for dinner tonight, so Layla's just chilling there, all alone. Apparently Warren works at this place though, so he comes up and has a seat with her. They talk about how Layla is in love with Will, wow, big surprise, and how she should let him know how she feels. I should also mention, even though they just fall War and Peace, she'll do. Anyways, while this happens, Gwen, Will, and his family are going through his parents' old yearbook, and they come across this chick, Sue Ten. Apparently she was really strange and disappeared right before graduation. But she also looks oddly familiar. Strange. Later that night, Will walks Gwen home, and she low-key kind of makes him ask her to homecoming, which is odd, but it is possible that she just wants Will to...
Who got that good deal?
You know what happens on homecoming. Gwen's dad comes out, and I'm not joking, this actually happens. He says to Will, "You're not that kid with 6 arms, are you?"
You're not that boy with the 6 arms, are you?
He then tells Will to keep them to himself, which is kind of a wild line for a kid's movie. We then cut to these dweebs again, and they're talking about how at homecoming, they're going to break out their totally awesome evil plan. They just need one more thing, a pacifier. The next day, while Layla and Will are waiting for the bus, Will apologizes after he's reminded that he missed their day last night, and she's about to tell Will how she feels until Will brings up homecoming.
It's about homecoming. I'm going with Gwen Grayson.
Gwen's low-key salty about this, so she tells Will that she's going to homecoming with War and Peace, and obviously, Will's not happy about that. Later at lunch, Layla tells Warren about what she told Will, and the gang sits at his table against his wishes, but Warren agrees to take Layla out to homecoming and play along with his new plan to make Will jealous. Later that night, Will is studying with Gwen when she gets a call. Apparently there's a problem with the homecoming decorations, so she asks Will if the committee can come over to his place. She says it'll only be a few people. Right. Will says no because his parents won't be back until late, and he's not supposed to have people over. But Gwen pulls this.
I was just hoping we could spend a little more time together.
And you won't believe it. The few people turns into a massive-ass party at his house. Who would have thought? Will finds Gwen and is like, "Yo, what the f***?" But Gwen just tells him to lighten up. Red flags everywhere. She brings Will to a quiet room to get him to chill out, and she's like, "Oh gosh, I sure wish there was somewhere more quiet and secluded so we could be alone." and this motherfucker cracks. He breaks the one rule and brings this
Cracks.
dirty down to the secret sanctum.
I
This
swear to
old
God, if you don't
bitch.
her, I'll myself. Just for me. For me.
While this happens, Layla wanders upon the house, and she heads inside right as Will and Gwen come up from the secret sanctum. You can imagine what they were doing. Gwen sees Layla and looks absolutely disgusted, so she tells Will to grab her a drink. And while he does that, she comes up to Layla and is like, "What the f are you doing here? You weren't invited." Oh, and Will doesn't like him. And she just goes in on Layla. Will comes back right as Layla is leaving, and she's visibly pissed off. So Will's like, "Yo, what did you say to Layla?" And Gwen doesn't beat around the bush. She's like, "I told her the truth. You don't want to date that dirty loser. She can't handle a hog like me." Will says, "Fuck all that, we're done," and breaks up with her. His parents then pull up and see what's going on and tell everyone to leave. You might think he's going to be in some serious trouble. Nope.
Dad, I swear I didn't plan this.
All right, good enough for me.
Kurt Russell's the man.
No,
Will
bro,
leaves
he
Layla
did
a
it.
voicemail telling her to meet him at the Paper Lantern later tonight. But when he gets there, she's a no-show. But don't worry, our boy Warren is working again, and again decides to give some much-needed bro talk. He tells Will how him and Layla are only going to homecoming together to make him jealous, and he tells Will that Layla is and has been in love with him, and she definitely wants that Will special. The next night, or later that night, I don't really know, everyone but Will pulls up to the homecoming, even Warren, who's looking good, fully feathered, suited and booted. Will's bored, so he starts going through that yearbook again, and when he stumbles upon Sue Tenney, he notices she looks oddly familiar. It's Gwen. Sue Tenney is Gwen. How they didn't notice this when they were legit looking at the yearbook with her is wild, but you know, whatever. Now you might be thinking, wasn't this an old yearbook?
They probably
Sue
like,
Tenney
yo, we
graduated
don't
with
want
Will's
to say
parents.
it,
How
but
is she still so young?
you look
Don't
like
worry,
just
we'll get
like,
to that.
like, I
Will
probably, they
notices
probably
the
didn't want to say
pacifier
that
is
shit.
gone, and he needs a way to get to Sky High, so he calls the man himself, Ron Wilson. Back at the homecoming, the commander and Jetstream show up as the guest of honor, and while Gwen is giving her little speech, she suits up like a Power Ranger and reveals she's actually Royal Pain. The goblin dude comes out and brings her the pacifier, and she starts blasting. But it doesn't send people to the Shadow Realm. It turns them into babies. She starts laying the beamer down on everyone she can, and no one can escape because the duplicating chick and the bullies close the gates over the exits. But Warren finds a vent and opens it so our main gang can escape. And while they do this, Will pulls up thanks to Ron Wilson. It's a little dark in the vents, but fear not, my boy Zach finally comes in clutch. They get out and meet Will, and we get a little motivational speech about working together to save the day, and Layla and Will make up. Cheers all around. Now let's lock back in because these dudes are back. Will heads out to stop Royal Pain while the rest of the gang holds off the bullies. Here's what happens. Ethan gets chased into a stall, and he makes Lash think that he dipped out through the toilet. But as he's looking, Ethan drops down and stuffs his head into the toilet. He might have drowned. I don't know. Warren was getting worked by Speed, but luckily Ethan turns into goo as Speed is running and he slips, so Warren takes the chance to send him through a wall with a fireball. Layla gets chased by the duplicating chick and finally busts her poison ivy powers out and wraps them all up. But this chick breaks and says that Royal Pain plans to disable the anti-gravity, so Sky High falls to the ground while everyone's on it. While this happens, Will finds Gwen, and we find out that when the Commander and Jetstream beat her all those years ago, she wasn't actually packed up. The pacifier just turned her into a baby, and she was raised by the Goblin dude. Gwen and Will start scrapping, and they smash through a wall and into the homecoming area. Will dives at her, then throws her into next week. He then picks her up and starts giving her the Hulk versus Loki treatment before launching her again. She's able to land a nice straight to the lips, which sends Will flying, and while they fight, the others map out how to get to the anti-gravity room to stop Sky High from falling to the ground. Magenta shapeshifts into a guinea pig and goes through a little vent to get to the generator. Will's still holding it down for a minute, but right before he finishes the job, Layla and Warren come in so Royal Pain is able to launch him through the window and he falls to his demise. Or so we thought. He flies up after finding out he has his mom's powers too. He snatches up Gwen, throws her into the ground, and gives her one good juicer to
Damn,
the
they need
lips
to make a
finally
part
put her out
2
of
of this
commission.
shit.
I guess Gwen's
No,
plan was also to take
Yo,
some of the
where's the
babies,
part
but
two?
as the
I
wrong
need
turn
Sky
dude
High
is doing
part
that,
two,
the
man.
GOAT himself shows up to put a
Come
stop
on,
to it.
yo, I'm not the
Ron
only one.
motherfucking Wilson. Magenta finds the
did come in
generator
clutch
and
towards
starts
the end.
chewing the wire, but not before the school starts plummeting towards the ground. Will flies up onto the school to try to stop it, but after like 5 seconds, he's just along for the ride. But luckily, Magenta is able to chew through the wire right on time, and Will stops it from smacking a house. The day isn't saved yet, though. There's like 30 adults that are now babies, but luckily the science teacher is like normal still. I don't really know. He's able to reconfigure the pacifier and change everyone back into normal.
That nigga
Will and
as
his
a
parents
baby?
wake up, The commander congratulates the
Even as
sidekicks
a
for kicking
baby,
ass
bro?
and saving the day, and they all party to celebrate. The movie ends with Warren dancing with the ice girl that we saw earlier in the movie. Will gets with Layla, and Royal Pain and the bad guys are thrown behind bars. And yeah, that's Sky High. Haven't watched it in forever, so I had to get a little nostalgia running through my veins, you know. Let me know your thoughts on Sky High. Also, let me know what videos you guys want to see next. So that's all we got for you guys today.
If you agree, bro.